homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. This is Basic Homesteader Electricity Part 3, Selecting Your Perfect Generator. Now, as homesteaders move forward, they have to decide how they're going to preserve in case the power goes off. Homesteaders, preppers, whatever we're talking about, okay? You're going to have to operate a generator in order to keep your freezers going or your refrigerator, or in my case, where I have multiple sclerosis, I need to have an air conditioner that'll operate. So, because the heat will put me down, I don't want to have to spend all my time sitting in my car with my car idling. So we want to maintain a small air conditioner at the same time. So you have to look at those things and decide exactly the type of generator you need. And I'm going to show you how I came to our perfect homestead generator. Now, your perfect homestead generator may be different, but if you go back and look at the homestead electricity, basic homestead electricity, part 1 and 2, it gets you to the point where you can calculate what would be the best homestead generator for you. So let's go ahead and get at this, and I'll show you how I came up with the generator, and then I'll show you the generator that I bought, and we'll unbox it together. Okay, let's talk about how I came to decide on which generator I wanted to use. Well, first off, I have freezers. I have 4 freezers. I have 4 freezers. One that is 7 cubic feet, 7.1 cubic feet. A 5 cubic foot one. Oh, I actually have 2 of the 7.1s and one 11 cubic foot chest type freezers. All right. Now, every appliance that you get, and well, let's do this. I have a 26 cubic foot refrigerator. And for me, where I've got multiple sclerosis, I need a place where I can get in the cool in the summertime. So in the wintertime, we've got alternative propane heat. But in the summertime, I need to be a place where I can get into a refuge. So I've got a little 5,000 BTU air conditioner in my bedroom that I can use to get out of the heat. Now, each one of these, one of the things you have to look at when you're talking about going to run a generator, okay? You're going to run a generator. When we're talking about things like fluorescent bulbs, or we're talking about things like LED light bulbs, if I have to run something with a generator, I'll use LED light bulbs. So we're talking about something like 10 or 15, 20 watts for 3 or 4 light bulbs. So I'm not really worried about light bulbs. Those could be run separate. These are the major appliances that I need to be able to make sure they keep running in case we have a power outage. Okay? So now, every major appliance you ever got comes, turn that around right, comes with one of these. Okay? And it tells you how many kilowatt hours are used by that appliance, estimated yearly. Okay? So all you have to do is divide that by 360, and that would tell you the daily kilowatt hours. Well, 451, use my calculator, 451 divided by 360. Now, why don't I use 365 days? Because they use banker days, okay? Just like calculating interest, they use 360 days. So, equals 1.25 kilowatt hours per day. Okay. This is for my refrigerator. Okay. This one's for my refrigerator. So it's going to use 1.25 kilowatt hours per day. 1.25 kilowatt hours per day. Then I turn around and I have done all of my others. Okay, I've done all of my others. So I'm going to just write them out here. 248 divided by 360. So this freezer uses 0.69 kilowatt hours per day. This one is 172 divided by 360 equals 0.48 kilowatt hours per day. And then 314 divided by 360. And this one uses 0.87 kilowatt hours per day. Alright, so each freezer uses this many kilowatt hours per day. Then my little air conditioning unit uses 14.4 kilowatt hours per day. Alright, this is all the daily usage. Now, I could go through here and figure up everything. So if I do that, 9, and add all these up. So 0.6, clear. 0.69 plus 0.69, because I've got two of these freezers, plus 0.48 plus 0.87 plus 1.25 plus 14.4 equals 18.38 kilowatt hours per day. Okay, that's my daily consumption of my have-tos. Or in other words, 1,838 watts. Watt hours per day. So in other words, I need to come up with, and all I did was excuse me, there should be 18,380 watt hours per day. So all I did was, I did that, I moved that over so that it gives me watt hours in a day. So if I divide that by 24, 18,380 divided by 24 equals 765 watts, 0.8 watts. Now, if you were using the energy guide, you would need a generator that would generate 675.8 watts in order to keep all of this going. But that's not going to work. I guarantee it. So let's go back and let's look at the amperages, the starting amps of each one of these. Well, these two start at 1.7 amps, and this is based on the plate on them. This one was 1.2 amps. This one was 2 amps exactly, 2.0 amps. The refrigerator was 4.6 amps, and this is based on starting. And then this was 4.9, so I'm going to say 5.0 amps. So in other words, we've got to come up with, and remember there's two of these, so I'm going to add that twice. 1.7 plus 1.7 plus 1.2 plus 2 plus equals plus 4.6 plus 5.0 equals. So I've got 16.2 amps that I need to operate. Now, since I'm going to operate that at 120 volts, if you remember, watts, amps, volts, I'm going to operate that at 120 volts. If I want to find the watts, it's amps times volts. So 16.2 times 120 that's 1944 watts. See the difference? This is because it's so much more to start a compressor than to keep it running. This is averaged over time. Excuse me. This is averaged over time, and this is instantaneous. So when you size your generator, you want to size it for the instantaneous wattage. So I want a generator that's going to be somewhere around 3,800 watts. Somewhere in that ballpark. Now, all of these are not going to come on at the same time. Okay? I want my generator. If you've ever looked at generators, you'll notice that they tell you how long the runtime at 50%. Okay? That's what they tell you, the runtime at 50%. So if it says it runs for 9 hours, that's 9 hours on a tank of gas if it's only generating at 50%. Well, that's why I selected 3,800 watts, because that would be operating at around 50% of this. Okay? Anywhere, I think I would be satisfied anywhere between 3,500 and 4,500 watts would do what we needed to do here at College Hill Farm. So let's go out and unbox the generator that I've got and see what that does for us. Okay folks, this is the generator I bought. Going to uncover it here. It was $476 tax and all. Now, some people would say, well, didn't you get a farm exemption on your sales tax? Well, the truth is, I'm not selling this to make a profit on it, so it doesn't fall under the farm exemption. Secondly, I'm only a hobby farmer. I have never applied for a farm exemption. Now, if I ever start making money off my homestead, yeah, I'll do that. But right now, it's just a hobby. Okay, let's get this unboxed. Now, when I bought it about 4 days ago. And I knew I was going to have to leave it here and there. So I just covered it in plastic so it wouldn't get the box all nasty. But you could run the generator out in the rain. I wouldn't want to. I'd want to cover it with a tarp or something, some kind of cover. But it can run out in the rain. So let's look at the one that we bought and why we bought it. Okay, this is a Champion dual fuel, and I'll explain why I did dual fuel and explain some of the things that the reasons I bought this generator. Now, you saw in the video earlier, previously, that I bought it based on the amount of things that I needed to power on my homestead. Well, let's look at a close-up of the box. The reason I picked this generator, it's 4,000 running watts. Alright? Now the running watts are going to be a little bit reduced when it's propane. It's going to be 3,600. Remember, I told you anywhere between 3,500 and 4,500 would work for us. Now, it's 400 running watts on gasoline and 3,600 running watts on propane. This is still, it's only going to have, it says it has a 9-hour run time. Well, that's all based on half a load. Okay? Our load is going to be about 1,900 watts startup. It's actually going to be less running, but 1,900 watts startup, so I should be able to run this generator for 9 hours and maybe even longer than that at half load. 38 decibels, that's pretty loud. It's nobody'd like it at a campground if you were running it for an RV. We used to have an RV, and this generator would have been a little loud. It replaces our previous 2,000 watt generator, which we needed something bigger for the homestead. It has a cold weather start. It has voltage guard, and it says it's RV ready, but the noise would hurt that. Now, what kind of plug-ins does it include? Well, it includes an RV plug-in, 120 volts, a 30 amp 120 volt plug-in, the round one that clicks in, and it includes a 20 amp receptacle for a regular 110 volt connection. And I'll be fixing up something in the house that takes care of that. And then it comes with the propane hose for it. Now, and another advantage to this is it takes regular 10W30 motor oil. I don't have to go out and buy some specialty oil. Now, I would prefer to buy All-American. But an All-American generator is something that you just can't hardly find. Okay? All the parts for these small motors anymore are made in places like Mexico or China or Taiwan or Vietnam. Okay? So it's really, really hard to find an All-American company. Now, Champion is based here in the United States. I'm sure they source their parts from Mexico or from China or wherever. I haven't researched that part, but it was about being able to afford the generator. Any of the other generators in this dual fuel 5,000 starting watts, 4,000 range, dual fuel was running about $700. This was $476 tax and all at Tractor Supply. So that's why I picked this one. So let's talk about why having a dual fuel is important. Okay, why is having a dual fuel generator so important? Well, first off, gasoline goes bad. If you've ever fooled with gas, you can try and put stabilizer in it all the time, and it's going to go bad. It's just going to last about 2 or 3 months, and if you don't get out and run it all the time, okay, it's just not going to work out good. Well, if we had an event that was going to be a week long, I'd put regular gas in this and just run it. Alright? But my plan is to use propane 99% of the time. I've got a 100-pound propane tank and a 60-pound propane tank. And then a bunch of 20-pound tanks. So a 20-pound tank is supposed to run this for 9 hours. Or a 15-pound grill tank, excuse me. A 15-pound grill tank is supposed to run this for 9 hours. So, if that's the case, then I've got enough propane to run this for 4 or 5 days without ever having to go anywhere. Now, I've got a 4-wheel drive truck if I have to go out and get propane. Now, in a long-term SHTF, this generator like every other generator, is going to run out of fuel. It doesn't matter whether you're using propane. It doesn't matter whether you're using gasoline. But I'm going to tell you this. Propane that's been stored for 10 years still burns like it was stored yesterday. Gasoline that's been stored for 10 years won't start your engine. Okay? So if I get a 300-pound or a 300-gallon propane tank and get it filled up, I can keep that for 10 or 12 years, and this generator could operate off of that, because I need one for the fireplace anyway. I'm putting in a propane fireplace because I'm getting older, and chopping all that wood is not as good an option. Okay, so propane's going to be my option for getting me through a year. But now if we have a major SHTF, and we're in one right now, you just didn't realize it, but we are. This SHTF is just happening slowly. Alright, we're in it. A lot of people out of work. Okay, so we're in one. It's not like the zombie apocalypse from The Walking Dead, but it's still SHTF. Now, I'm going to unbox this, but I'm not going to unbox it in this video. Why? Well, this video has already been over 15 minutes long. So I don't like to go for 40-minute videos. I just don't like to do that. So I'm going to stop the video here, and then the next video will be unboxing. So now if you like this kind of stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now if you hit the little bell, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing and unbox this generator.